regression testing. So during the regression testing, we have to make sure 2 points. Okay, during the regression testing, we have to make sure two things. One is whatever the defects are fixed, okay, which are not creating new issues. So let's say you have raised a defect and that's gone to the developer, and developer to fix the defect he has to change some code. Okay, once he changes the code and make sure it is working fine, he will be sending to you for the verification. He will be sending the defect to you for the verification. As a tester, as a developer, he will be sending the defect to you, and as a tester you have to ensure that the defect fix is working fine. That is one thing. And the second thing is the defect fix is not causing any other issues. Okay, it is not causing any other issues. That is the second thing you have to ensure. And that's one way of doing the regression testing, making sure that the defect changes are not making another issues. Okay, not making another defects. That's one way of ensuring the regression testing. And regression testing also, you know, uh, done to ensure the base functionality is not changed or not degraded. For example, there is a version 1, there is a version 1 where you have written all the test cases. Let's say 100 test cases you have written, and you make sure that all these 100 test cases are working fine. Okay, now come to the next version. Version 1 is tested fine, it's working, it is launched to the user and they are using it. Now with new features you are planning for version 2. In the version 2 you added some more features. Okay, so as a tester your responsibility is that the new features are working fine, and also the old features also working fine. Okay, so can somebody tell me how do you ensure the old features are working fine, the old functionality is working fine? Raj, can you give me some input? Raj, Swapna, Sonia, Sunny, or Mohib, can somebody give me some input? Swapna, you have any input? Any guesses? Just guess it. I'm not expecting the answer. So you understood the problem, right? There is a version 1. We have written 100 test cases. Now the version 2 has begun, and during the version 2, we there are certain features are added. So as a tester, you have to ensure that the version 2 features are working fine. Okay, for that you might be writing some test cases, and you will be testing it. Okay, and how do you ensure the version 1 features also working? Any answer? Any guess? Raj, you have any guess?
We can do the review.
Mm, yeah, something like that, but not the correct answer. Okay, I got a short answer. Okay, let me tell you the answer is. So now we have two versions, version 1 and version 2. Version 2 is the latest. For that you have written the test cases and you have executed them and making sure the version 2 features are working fine. Okay, that's fine. So during the version 2 they added lots of features. They might modify the existing feature also. So as a tester it's your responsibility that the entire application is working. So the entire application is working is nothing but the features which are developed earlier, that is in version 1, is also working fine. Okay, for that we already written 100 test cases. Remember, that's the reason I said 100 test cases. For that we already written 100 test cases earlier. Okay, we have to test all these 100 test cases, make sure all the functionality of the earlier version is working fine. Okay, so these 100 test cases we call them as regression test cases. Okay, these 100 test cases we can call them as regression test cases, and testing these 100 test cases we can call them as regression testing. Okay, testing the previous testing the earlier functionalities and making sure those are working, we can call it as regression testing. Okay,